Welcome. We're recapping. Now I'm supposed to tweet it. We're going to tweet it. All right, it's been tweeted. All right, here. There's the link. I'm putting up the link. I'm going to put it in my Patreon Discord. You know, the people must know.
I'm even getting fancy YouTube alerts.
Well, you know, they could get YouTube alerts. Wouldn't that be nice if they got YouTube alerts? But, you know, we can't always, not everyone can have everything that we want. So this week was interesting. What do you think? What do you think?
It was definitely interesting. I mean, where do you want to start? Anywhere particular? There's a lot.
Not really.
I think.
What are you feeling?
I mean, do you want to start with the Sunday night game? There's that certain guy that everyone wants to talk about, and everyone's been talking about all weekend. He lived up to the hype.
I mean, yeah. Javonte Williams. I told people they didn't want to listen to me. The people, I always say there are a lot of dumb people. There are. That's why, you know, we have me. That's the advantage that I bring. If everyone was as smart, this is going to sound really conceited, but, you know, someone pissed me off today. So fuck it, right? If everyone were as smart as me, there would be no reason to play because you wouldn't be able to gain an advantage. There were still people who tried to tell me as of before this week that they would rather in Dynasty have Dalvin Cook over Javonte Williams. That seemed really stupid to me because Javonte Williams is 5 years younger, doesn't have legal charges pending against him, isn't injured right now, and, you know, doesn't have a long history of injuries, an equivalent of Dalvin Cook, and also doesn't have 5 years of an NFL workload like Dalvin Cook. So, you know, people were saying that. I was like, you're crazy. And people are like, no, Dalvin Cook is more talented. Go now and try to trade in your Dynasty League Dalvin Cook for Javonte Williams. Go, you try to do that and see if you can do that. Report back to me. See, I want to know. Alvin Kamara. How about Alvin Kamara? See if you can do that? No. Javonte Williams is the RB4. I mean, someone, you know, I think it was FF Ball All Day was trying to tell me, no, he's not the RB4. I was like, no, he is. Trust me, I would know. He was the consensus RB4 really coming into this game, you know, with JT, Swift, and Najee Harris. Who we're going to talk about Najee Harris. We might have a problem. We might have a problem there. That's someone we might have an issue. But, you know, he was the consensus 4 at this point, really. How far away is he from number 2, would you say? Really? Like, how far away is he? JT is clearly 1, but Javonte that far off?
See, I was one of the people that was like, no, he's not 4. It's not like I had him below Dalvin Cook and Kamara and all those guys. I still had him in like the 6, 7, 8 range. Now,
who do you have ahead of him? Really?
Oh gosh, who did I have? I had Najee. I had.
Yeah, but see, there was no good 4, was there?
No, I think I might have had CMC, but that's
the CMC. Okay, yeah, CMC. That's actually I said that. I said that CMC was really the one. Even now, people were still debating. They were still debating him.
And then the three listed off, and then I think that was it. I think I had him at 5 or 6. I forget what it was. But yeah, he's the clear 4 now. I mean,
clearly,
if Melvin Gordon leaves,
Melvin Gordon, I think, is leaving. Because I don't think Melvin Gordon, you know, it's funny, actually, Melvin Gordon has still been pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, I think Melvin Gordon can do more than play 25% of a backfield. I think he has more left. I don't think he's going to re-sign there. Why would you re-sign there and be a backup? Melvin Gordon could go to Buffalo and be a starter. Yeah. He could be a starter there on a Super Bowl contending team. Why not go there? If he wanted to be a complimentary back, how about Kansas City? I think he would gain more work playing with Clyde than he would playing with Javonte. But why not go to Kansas City? There's no way he's going to re-sign in Denver because there are many other options. What about the Cardinals? The Cardinals could be interested. I mean, they may or may not be able to re-sign James Conner after today. Today with that catch over here and then breaking it to that was James Conner had that kind of receiving skill. I did not know that was like, did Chase Edmonds put on James Conner's uniform and I didn't know about it? That was crazy. That catch. That was crazy. That was crazy. That was one of the better plays I've seen from a running back in the receiving game all year, except for Daryl's wheel route.
Oh
No,
my gosh.
yeah.
It was a wheel route. It was a Moss over. I forget which poor Las Vegas Raiders defender got the treatment there, but
yeah,
it was impressive.
As usual. Daryl Williams outproduced Clyde in the receiving game.
What else is new?
What else is new, right? I mean, what else is new? The two players actually produced almost identical fantasy numbers in today's game. Not good.
No.
Not good. Not good enough. Not good enough for Clyde Edwards' failure. If Melvin Gordon comes there. But yeah, Javonte Williams is at this point, I mean, in Dynasty, who would you rather have Javonte Williams or AJ Brown?
Oh, Javonte. I don't trust AJ Brown's knees at all. I hate that. I hate the fact that I don't trust it. They've been bothering him forever. He's a beast when he's on the field, but the injury concerns are just too much for me.
Metcalf?
I'd probably take Javonte Williams. We don't know who Metcalf's quarterback's going to be next year. I think Russ is gone. Even with the win today, the big win against San Francisco, I still think
big win that got them to 4-8. Whoa.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. But it was a big win for their season standards,
Not impressed. Let me tell you.
I didn't say I was impressed. I just said it was a big win for them because they're not beating many teams out here, and I think Russ already has one foot out the door, and I don't know where he's going to go. But we have all offseason to speculate about that. So,
yeah, someone asked the question: who's the top tight end going into the playoffs? Did I miss something? Kelsey had a bad game tonight, I guess.
Wasn't good, but
wasn't good, but I mean,
when you have Mahomes fucking touchdown, it's
No, I don't. Anyway, we can just here. We have some questions in the chat. All right, here. Williams over Cook is easy. Now do Harris. Don't wait till everyone realizes Williams is 2 years younger. I literally know. Give me a player. Any player.
Oh, any player. What position you want?
Fantasy relevant.
Fantasy relevant?
Yeah.
All right. I'll just go with, oh gosh, who's off the top of my head right now?
Someone good would be nice.
I was gonna say Jamar Chase, but that's too easy because he can't.
I think
you're gonna do an age thing, and he came out this year. So.
Jamar Chase is 2000.
Yeah.
But I wish I knew the month. That would be nice. April 2000, I think.
All right. I'll ask you Josh Allen, and we can move on.
Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Josh Allen is. I know he's 96. February 96. February 18th. I don't know why that date came up to me. February 18th.
I mean, I have to look it up.
February 18th, 96.
I mean, I
just pulled that one out of my ass. Quarterback ages don't matter as much. I know he's 96 though. That I know.
He's 96. It was May 21st.
That wasn't even close.
Usually
I do better than that. Usually I do better than that. Anyway, but yeah, Najee Harris is March 98 and Javonte Williams is April 2000.
Made me feel old.
Yeah. But yes, I'm well aware of that. So, yeah. And now, you think I would still prefer, honestly, I mean, really, why is there what's the reason to prefer Najee Harris at this point? Volume forever? A guaranteed volume?
I mean, I guess that's what they're looking at.
Yeah.
I mean, his rushing yards over expected have been, suboptimal. I know a lot of people have been bringing that up on the Twitter.
Yeah, no, they're really bad. I'm aware of that.
Not good, but
at this point, I think Harris, Swift, and Javonte are in the same tier for me. Anyway,
I would agree. JT's the
overwhelming one. JT is overwhelming one.
Touchdown machine.
JT is just beast. No. Melvin's not going to sign him.
I think McKissick could stay though.
Yeah, McKissick could stay. When I said a better McKissick being acquired, I was thinking of a draft pick more so than a better McKissick there is no better McKissick in the NFL that they could sign. Who is that going to be? There isn't anyway. But a draft pick, a third round pick in that caliber could be scary.
So the longevity of the pick would far outlast J.D. McKissick.
No, I don't think Melvin wants to go somewhere to be a backup. I think Melvin wants to go somewhere where he's competing to be a starter. So it's fair, yeah. No, there are many places where he could go and compete to be a starter. There are. I mean, I named a couple. I mean, Buffalo, Arizona has nobody in a contract. What about Seattle? Seattle has nothing. Nothing at all. They don't have any running back. They have nothing there. So that's another option. So there are many options where he could go and be a starter, at least lead a committee. What about the Jets? Michael Carter, he's fine, but he's not a workhorse. He needs another back there, which is going to disappoint a lot of people when that happens.
For sure.
So there's a bunch of places, and I've named. You go back to L.A., the Chargers.
Yep.
Okay. Danny Paul, bench Devonta Smith. So next week is the bye week. I talked a little bit about this in one of the things was on Dallas Goedert, who actually had a huge game with Gardner Minshew. We have the resident Eagles fan here. We do. Mm-hmm. We do. So can you play Devonta Smith moving forward? Can you? Two receptions for 15 yards on 4 targets. Not good enough. Can you play him?
I don't think you can. It's identical to the stat line that they had the week before with Hurts. I know he missed, and we talked about that in detail. I mean, the schedule coming up is all NFC East. It's not that bad, but you can't trust him. You could only in this offense. I don't even think you could trust Goddard even after the big game.
But at tight end, you might not have a choice.
You have to play him.
Logan Thomas just went down this week. That's another tight end gone. I mean, you might not have. You might not have a choice.
You're going to be forced into playing Goddard, but there's going to be very slim scenarios we're going to be forced into playing Smith because he was, a 7th, 8th rounder, 9th?
Yeah, you won't be forced.
You won't be forced into, and I think it's best to find another option. It hurts because, he's been playing well, like I've said, he's been getting open, but the only person that you can trust in offense is Hurts to put up fantasy points.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can play Goddard. You can play him. His tight end is just so. I mean, you can say this about almost everybody, but it's not good enough. Not good enough. And I will say that it is to me abundantly clear that Jalen Waddle is a better player than Devonta Smith. Abundantly clear. It's not even close. Not even close, which is funny because it's the opposite of what it was when they were in college. But I don't think it's close. I think Jalen Waddle is a far superior player to Devonta Smith. Apparently, you cannot play Devonta Smith. Devonta Smith, I mean, when I say you cannot play him, you can't play him as a wide receiver 2 anymore. Devonta Smith is now a boom or bust. I mean, I ranked Cortland Sutton as a wide receiver 3 this week. So, there's still going to be a spot for him in desperation situations, but as a reliable fantasy play, no. He's going to be way lower. I
agree with you. It hurts, but
get it again. Nice. So this is a good point here, actually, from the same game. Elijah Moore is the man in that offense. I mean, Corey Davis got hurt again. Elijah Moore, 12 targets. It's good. Good effort. 6 for 77 and 1. Excellent effort.
Yeah,
it is. It's a good effort. At this point, the players we just talked about, would you rather have Elijah Moore or Devonta Smith?
Elijah Moore.
I think it has to be. I do.
I think Philly drafts another wide receiver, honestly.
Well, I mean, they have Jalen Jalen irrelevant, and Quez Watkins, who bagel. Oh, no. He had 3 for school.
Yeah, he got a
Boston Scott. Boston Scott is the one who I was mad at in this game. Where'd he go? He was supposed to. Bagel. Not good enough. Jalen Reagor also 1 for 7. No. That's not going to cut it.
Not at all.
No.
I guess Sirianni likes to rotate who he doesn't like per week.
For me, if you're on a dynasty team, you should cut Jalen Reagor. Just cut him. Seriously, I'm looking at my wide receiver rankings, looking at guys in that range. Where do I have Jalen Reagor? I scroll way down, way all the way down here. Jameson Crowder. Crowder actually has had fantasy relevant games in his life. Kendrick Bourne. Well, he's had some touchdowns here and there. Marquez Valdes-Scantling has been a lot better this season.
Yeah.
Cole Beasley. Whatever. It is what it is. These are the players. But
yeah,
I'm done with Jalen Reagor. I've quit on him. He's someone I've seen enough. But Elijah Moore is the real deal. So
yes,
if he's on your dynasty team, you should be very happy.
200%.
But yeah, let's see if there were any more. Okay. As a Dolphins fan and big Waddle fan, he's electric to watch. Yeah, I would say so. 9 for 90 today. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Waddle's getting a reasonably good quarterback play lately. Yeah. Tua's been good. He's been good lately. I do feel bad for him because Deshaun Watson is – I think we can see that Tua is not ever going to be that. Ever. So if you have the opportunity to acquire that franchise quarterback, your top 5 quarterback, you do it. No matter what, no matter who you have, you do it. So, especially when your current guy doesn't have that ceiling, and he doesn't. Even today, he was good, but not great. He's not gonna be someone who wins it for you. But in Dynasty, obviously he's gonna start somewhere next year. He's not just gonna be a backup. If the Dolphins trade for Deshaun Watson, Tua could be the starting quarterback for the Texans, which we would hate, or another club. But he's going to start somewhere, for sure.
I agree.
So there is that. So we talked about benching Devonta Smith. What about this? Should I sell high on Dallas Goedert? The offer is a 2023 first, non-tight end premium. So what do you think about that?
Smash accept, honestly. I think I'm not as high as Dallas Goedert as you are. But
who said I was high on Dallas Goedert?
You were higher than me. That's what I'm saying.
Probably.
But I was low, so it kind of checks out. But, the 2023 first is I know it's 2 years away, but it's fantasy gold at this point.
I know. Everybody knows that those are going to be literally worth their weight in gold, like you said.
Bryce Young's about to win the Heisman. He looks NFL ready. You got.
Well, that's another thing, though. If this is a super flex trade, I'm not even considering it.
Oh yeah, but super flex, just take the 2023 first and run away.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
If it's a 1 QB, I get it. It's more of a trade that makes more sense.
Oh yeah. For sure, but Superflex, those 2023 picks, man. I can't wait to see the hype next offseason. It's going to be nuts.
Yeah. No, I get it. The hype has been there, though. Hasn't the hype been there the whole time?
The hype has been there. It hasn't died. It's only gotten stronger because all of those players had strong college seasons, so... 2023 class is here to stay.
Any class that has Bijan in it is going to be pretty strong. There's so many other players too.
Yep. You got Gibbs. You got Tank Bigsby's look good at Auburn.
You know more about this than me.
I watch a lot of college football on my Saturdays.
Yeah, whereas I definitely don't. I just don't have time for that.
I'm not going to try to pronounce his name, but if the quarterback from Clemson can have a strong bounce back.
DJU?
Yeah, the class will get even stronger because he had such a weak year. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of ways this class is stronger. I'm so excited. I can't wait. It's gonna get nuts. It's gonna get nuts on fantasy Twitter. Tap in because Dynasty Twitter is gonna be.
What does this mean? A great QB lights this Giants team. Oh,
I get Tua.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, did Tua light the problem with the Giants was not on that side of the ball. You would think if you hold a team to 20 points, you win. The problem was on the other side of the ball, which honestly, with Mike Glennon at quarterback, is not worth discussing.
Wasn't Mike Glennon not even in for like good portion of the time?
Oh, he was in. There's no one else threw any passes.
Oh,
yeah, Mike Glennon, 23 or 44 for 187 and interception with 3 sacks taken, no touchdowns.
So did
not good.
So did he suffer his concussion at the end of the game?
End of the game, yeah. Very, very. It was like must have been right at the end. Because he was in on the final drive.
Yeah, I didn't know exactly when.
But the other thing is that we have Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley. Yeah. What about Saquon Barkley today? I mean, it could have been worse, right?
Yeah.
But 11 for 55. Okay, 5 yards a carry is not bad. But why were there only 11 carries? Don't give me that they were behind. Devontae Booker had 6. Why isn't he prepared to take more carries? Why only 11? Not good enough. And then in the receiving game, 6 receptions turned into only 19 yards. Don't give me that it was Mike Glennon. I don't want to hear it. The excuses don't score me anything. Excuses. Once again, another week of excuses and another subpar fantasy game. Subpar. I mean, I don't want to hear about subpar.
It was Mike Glennon that he got the receptions because of. I'll say that.
But that's the only reason he had more fantasy value this week. And if I remember it correctly, Devontae Booker had 6 carries for 36 yards. So he was actually more efficient behind the same offensive line with the same quarterback. Why did Saquon Barkley once again fail to deliver the fantasy value that we wanted? Other running backs, DeAndre Swift played on a terrible offense all year. Terrible. But somehow he still delivered fantasy value. Why can't Saquon Barkley do that? Right? Jamal Williams is better than Devontae Booker. Why can't Saquon Barkley deliver fantasy value? Why?
That's a question only you may know right now. I
know the answer. It's because he's not the same player anymore. That's the obvious answer, but it's the answer.
I didn't want to say it. It hurts my heart.
Look, he's not even good anymore. He's really not. He's just he doesn't look good. There's a reason they don't show any highlight plays because there aren't any. There was one big run today? One big run in 3 weeks. Whoa. And you don't give me that he's still recovering from the ankle injury. Other players come back from the injury and they're ready. They're ready to play. 3 weeks later from a low ankle sprain, it's just not good enough. That doesn't cut it. That's fine if you're a mediocre player, but if you're supposed to be a superstar, you got to give me better than that. Tired of him. I really am. I would rather have, at this point, I'm moving on. I'd rather have Antonio Gibson. For sure.
I don't think you're going to get Antonio Gibson.
You're not going to get Antonio Gibson.
Especially with the run he's been on.
Yeah, you're not going to do that. But at this point, if you could, this is where we are, I think. Yeah, lots of attempts to break down a guy, but the problem is he doesn't have the agility to do that like he once did. So that is the problem. My issue is, at this point, if I told you could get Elijah Moore for Saquon Barkley, would you do it? That's where we are.
I feel like you have to because you run the risk of Saquon. I don't think he didn't get his 5th-year option yet.
He did. His 5th year, they picked it up.
They picked it up already? All right.
Yeah.
So he's with that offense for another year, which it doesn't do him. I don't think it's the cause of his problems, but it doesn't do him any favors either.
Well, it certainly doesn't help.
It doesn't help at all being
help,
part of that offense with the line. Oh, yeesh. But yeah, I mean, Elijah Moore looks to be the number one wide receiver in New York.
Yeah, I think so. I do. I think at this point, why go down with the ship? There's just no reason to. The name Saquon Barkley has carried his value for a long time.
Still think it does.
But it still does, but that name is running out of gas. Really, if you think about it, why even would you prefer Saquon Barkley over, say, David Montgomery? Really, if you took away the name and you just watched and looked at statistics for player A and player B, and I didn't tell you which was which, and you didn't know, who do you think you would choose? You didn't know it was named Saquon Barkley and David Montgomery. Who do you think you would pick?
200% David Montgomery.
Obviously pick David Montgomery. But if that's the case, and the only thing propping up Saquon Barkley's value is that he's named Saquon Barkley, that's a problem, right? I mean, that's a problem. That's bad. That's an asset that you should get out of immediately. Because eventually people are going to, like, Todd Gurley's name carried value until it didn't, right? It carried value until it didn't anymore, until the wheels came off. Le'Veon Bell, his name carried value until it didn't. There was a day where it didn't, and the wheels came off. David Johnson, the name carried value for a while. There was one day it didn't anymore, and the wheels came off. There will be a day where the name Saquon Barkley does not just magically prop up his value anymore. And I don't think we're that far away from that day. I just don't understand why he should carry high-end dynasty value when he's done nothing to deserve it since a good run at the end of 2019, that was mixed in with some bad play. And that was one run in 3 years. Just not good enough for me.
I mean, I agree with your statement of the name value with the wheels will fall off. I just don't think it'll be abruptly as Todd Gurley or Le'Veon Bell. Like there was the arthritis in the knees report with Todd Gurley that just cliffed his value. The whole Le'Veon Bell holdout thing cliffed his value. I don't think there's going to be a thing like that with Saquon. So I think
how do you know though?
You don't know, but you don't. But
there wasn't really a thing with David Johnson. Just kind of fell apart. He just wasn't good anymore. That's all it was, really. He just wasn't good anymore. One day, he just wasn't good. But it's a question of how quickly you accepted that. Whereas whether you got out in time or not. There was one day it came. In 2018, he just wasn't good. And then he didn't really bounce back.
Yeah.
I mean, really, if I took the names off the jerseys and showed you Elijah Mitchell and showed you Saquon Barkley, you would take Elijah Mitchell 10 times out of 10. 10 times out of 10. He's twice or 3 times the player this year.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk on the timeline about him, too. That's what I was heating up today.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, but, like, there are times at which, like, players like Josh Jacobs look better. Like, this is how far down we've come. I would just get out and move on. I don't want to start with maybe there'll be a bounce back. I've been waiting and waiting and waiting, and I'm tired of waiting. There's no point. I'd rather even have like Nick Chubb. At least he's been good more recently. I'm tired of waiting for Saquon Barkley to turn it around.
I just feel like it depends on the league with Saquon and your return. Obviously, I don't think that's one thing we could pinpoint like what you would get in return for Saquon because
I just don't think you can get anything in return for Saquon.
Exactly, but there's going to be a couple of leagues where some people value his name higher, obviously, like we said. And
there are still people saying that Saquon is a top 5 dynasty running back, and I came out with a strong statement today. Someone was like, "Well, that's crazy." I made a post about Saquon Barkley, got a lot of likes, so there was a lot of comments. Mm-hmm. And one of the people was like, well, I mean, if you're still valuing Saquon as a top 5 running back, that's crazy. And I was like, honestly, not sure you should trust someone who still values him that way. I think that's a sign that they don't really know what they're doing. Is that they're just not, and they're not analyzing anything. They're going based on just kind of their feel. But if you actually analyze the situation, he's not. There's just no excuse for having Saquon Barkley still as a top 5 dynasty running back. He should not be.
I mean, there's not many arguments for the top 5, honestly. Like, you could lock in JT, you could lock in Swift, you could probably lock in Najee in there, and you could lock in Javonte, and that's one spot for all the other aging running backs.
I mean, really, I think there's 2 players that have an argument, maybe 3 if you count the re-rise of Gibson, if you buy it. The other 2 are Mixon and McCaffrey. Those are the other 2 that have it.
Those are like the only discussion points for top 5. It's tough now. Like, I guess
Yeah,
the high end,
personally, I have Mixon right now.
the high end talent is separating itself and just showing.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Mixon's done really well this year. He's a year younger than your Kamara, your Cook, and your Zeke, and younger than Chubb. And then he's younger than Eckler. Same thing. Eckler's in the group with Kamara, and then it's really just Mixon versus McCaffrey, and Mixon and McCaffrey are almost identical in age, and Mixon's playing right now, so go with Mixon.
Yep.
What about this? We talked about this a little bit. Your view on CEH versus Williams going forward? Well, I mean, it's going to be a committee. I think we know that, right?
Yeah, it's going to be a committee. I don't know if you could start either of these 2.
Well, you can't start Williams. You can't start Williams. In 5 carries, it is just not good enough. Both players had 3 targets, but Williams had 5 carries and Clyde had 14. A lot of that was at the end of the game.
Yeah.
So, but that does also tell you that Clyde is the one getting mop-up duty. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing.
I couldn't tell you.
It's a thing. So you cannot start Darrell Williams as anything more than just a desperation flex. CEH, I had CEH. I was a little concerned about the stomach flu. I had him at running back 24 this week, but looking at my rankings, it's even if without the stomach flu, maybe I have him at 21 or 22. It's not like that's what he is. He's a low-end RB2 at best, RB20 at best. Not someone I'm rushing to start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you feel
totally similarly? It's similar. I mean, of course.
We agree on. Yeah. So the fact that this is something we have more time to talk about now. Can we talk about for a second, like how we do the rankings completely separately? We don't even talk about them.
No.
But then we show up to the show and they're like almost exactly the same. That is that's uncanny and kind of scary.
It's a little weird because we just we hop on, we're like, hey, you ready to go? And that's all we say really,
Pretty much, yeah. I don't think we say anything.
Roll, and we're like, yeah, let's do this. And
we talk about we usually talk for a little longer before we do this show because there's no specific start time and no rush to end it and nothing coming up. So we do talk a little bit more before we go live on this one, but on this Thursday show, we usually don't say anything. We just go. So yeah, it's kind of crazy how similar those are. A couple more, but I think we covered CH versus Williams.
Yeah, Williams is a top play if CH is ever out.
You're better off with you're better off with either one of them alone. Yeah. Of course. Thoughts on Miles Sanders? I mean, let's see what the injury is really.
Yeah.
But he had a great game before that. So if the injury is minor and he'll be back after the bye week, I think you can trust him. Yeah. I guess.
I mean, how many RBs can you trust now? Like 15, 14 per week?
I do think that I think here's my opinion on Miles Sanders. I think that they've finally come to the conclusion that he's the best of what they currently have. They're right about that. He's the best player of what they have. Of their current options, he's the best one. They're also not satisfied with Miles Sanders, and they would like something better. They want another addition to the running back room. They are not satisfied with their current running back room. They're not happy. But he is the best running back of who they currently have. And, you can probably play him for the rest of the season as an RB2, assuming this injury is not serious. We don't know. We have no idea. We don't know anything about that injury. Nothing, right?
No,
Nothing. Okay.
not that I've heard of.
Thoughts on Russell Gage? He had a big game today, right? I mean, over 100 yards, wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe so.
What do you think about Russell Gage? I don't have a lot of thoughts. Not a player I have much thoughts on. So what do you think?
Look, I was one of those people that was, I forget what it was, 2 off seasons ago. I was like, Russell Gage is a trade target of mine. I need to have him on like every team for like a 4th round pick because I thought he would pop.
I love that I threw it to you.
It didn't happen. And, obviously disappointment there, but 12 targets today. I mean,
yeah, take notice, right?
Exactly. And I personally don't think that Cal Ridley's coming back. I hope he gets better. And, if he wants to play football,
that is an impossible thing to speculate on. Like I've said,
you can't. You just want him to get better.
What matters though for the Falcons planning is they're paying his 5th-year option cap hit for 2022, no matter what. There's no way out of that. So they're paying that no matter what, whether he plays or not.
Yep, and that's impossible to speculate on. But yeah, Russell Gage. I mean, more targets than Kyle Pitts. You have to take note of that, right?
Yeah, I think it's time to move Kyle Pitts. He's still going to be my dynasty tight end 1 because Kelsey had a terrible game today. I mean, there's no one else really in competition. Just with age, there's no one else in competition for that spot. But he's got to move down my overall rankings. It's just not good enough, and I just don't see any evidence that Kyle Pitts is going to be Travis Kelce anymore. I just don't see any. I have not seen enough evidence of that. If his career is Jason Witten, then or Greg Olsen, that's good, but that's probably not worth a 1st-round starter pick. That would still be the dynasty tight end 1 if I told you were getting Jason Witten's career starting from the start of it.
Yeah,
but by far that would be the dynasty tight end 1 right now if I told you had that coming. But that's probably not worth a 1st-round starter pick. You have to be Travis Kelce to be worth that. So he's going to move down probably a good amount. Just because I'm not convinced. As for Russell Gage, his contract is up. He's certainly earning a new one. Do you think they're going to re-sign him? I don't know if they're going to be able to afford that.
We talked about the Atlanta Falcons cap situation. I think
they might have to. Yeah, we know that.
They might have to choose one between Cordero and Russell Gage, honestly.
My guess is they'll choose Patterson.
Obviously.
Gage walk.
He's been such a game breaker. Russell Gage has had a couple of decent performances.
Yeah. Well, Gage is someone to watch then. I mean, if he signs in a good landing spot, he's not going to be anything special, but he could be a wide receiver 3 in the perfect, not someone you rank there, but someone who is a wide receiver 3 in good matchups. Wide receiver 4 or 5 in poor ones, but just someone you can keep around. You need players like that. Hunter Renfrow is the best version of that player.
Oh yeah.
Someone who is just kind of there, doesn't ever carry a lot of dynasty value, but you can use him. So he's someone I'm not trading for Russell Gage, but he might be someone I'd be interested actually in drafting if I'm doing a startup this offseason. Yeah. An early startup, a January or February startup. He could be someone I'm interested in.
Big value, but yeah. I mean, Hunter Renfrow, you mentioned him.
If you drafted Hunter Renfrow in Dynasty Startup this offseason, you made out like a bandit because you've gotten a weekly wide receiver, low-end wide receiver 2, high-end wide receiver 3 for nothing. So I don't think Gage has that level of ceiling, but, again, you got to take what you can get. Biggest Dynasty riser, Javonte, we talked about.
How high can he go?
Yeah, he's already.
I think his ceiling's capped.
I think he's not that high. He didn't rise that much for me because I already had him very high, but his consensus was way lower than what I had him. So maybe. Anyone else stand out for you for this category?
Can we include T. Higgins again?
Yeah, actually, that was the next name I was going to go to. Was T. Higgins.
9 for 138 and a touchdown today. Jamar Chase is kind of slowed down. Obviously,
a little, yeah.
Obviously, still at the top of the dynasty rankings. No reason to move
Tyler
down.
Boyd had a little bit of a bounce back game.
Yep. We kind of accounted for all this in the beginning of the season. We under accounted for what Chase would do to start his career, but
so has T. Higgins done enough what kind of value do you think T. Higgins should have?
Dynasty-wise?
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't, if you're asking what I'd move him for, I wouldn't move him for less. I need more than a first.
But I think it's pretty easy, right? I mean, T. Higgins versus Elijah Moore, still Elijah Moore?
Yeah, I mean, Elijah Moore is the unquestioned one.
Elijah Moore, I just think Elijah Moore has a higher ceiling.
T. Higgins will always be capped with Jamar Chase there.
Yeah.
That's still, he'll still have these weeks, but he'll still be relatively capped.
But to me, it's pretty clear. I mean, I'd rather have Elijah Moore. I'd rather have, there's other guys who are way higher, but we're not talking about them. And then I'd probably still rather have Michael Pittman, but it's closer than it was. It's closer between those two than it was. And then I'd rather have Higgins, and then, you get to guys that are below Higgins, like Devonta Smith, Jerry Jeudy, Marquise Brown, Chase Claypool. Those are kind of guys I have in the next group. So he's kind of in the middle, maybe with Pittman, below Elijah Moore, and then way below the top tier, but above those other guys. So I like him. He's probably still a little overvalued for me, just because the ceiling just isn't there. I do think he's kind of, I'm going to move his price up, and then I feel like I'm kind of pricing him at his ceiling a little, but,
I mean, the Pittman debate with him is pretty interesting. I saw that one.
I think it's a legitimate debate now. I mean, Pittman had a good game too, but it wasn't. Yeah. Jonathan Taylor, 32 carries for 143 and 2. Jeez.
What a beast.
Pittman had a good game.
It'd be a disservice to not bring JT up at least once after every recap show because of what he did that day. Except next week because he's on a bye, but
JT's so good.
It's unreal.
Any other Dynasty risers? Anyone really rise? Because T. Higgins isn't actually going to move up that much for me.
No. I mean, looking around, can we bring Deontay Johnson up a little bit? I don't know.
I already have Deontay Johnson so high. I mean, how much higher?
I already have him up there too. I'm just looking around at big games.
I have Deontay Johnson above Deebo Samuel, above Jalen Waddle, above Stephon Diggs. How much higher I guess I could move him above Terry McLaurin. Probably will, but he just can't go that much higher. There's no room. You get to Cooper Kupp, I guess. I mean, maybe Deontay Johnson's a lot younger than Cooper Kupp, but
yeah, it's tough. There wasn't many.
I do think it's interesting. Would you rather have in Dynasty? Would you have Deontay Johnson or Devontae Adams?
Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, I think that the second the season ends, it's Deontay Johnson. I get it if you still want Devontae Adams now. But the second the season's over, I think it's easily Deontay Johnson.
I'm anticipating a big mess for Green Bay in the offseason as well. We don't know where Rodgers is going to want to play. We don't know if Adams is going to follow him. We know Adams is probably going to leave. We don't know who his quarterback's going to be. We don't know who Big Ben's quarterback's going to – or not Big Ben's quarterback, Deontay's quarterback's going to be. What was Big Ben, but, those rumors about him not playing again for the Steelers.
Yeah, Big Ben's going to retire. Deontay Johnson or Chris Godwin?
We have to mention Chris Godwin's big game today. That was huge.
He just can't go up anymore. He's already so high.
No, I'm still taking Deontay, though. I just believe in the talent.
Yeah. No, I do think that the time for Devontae – I actually think Cooper Kupp is going to hold his value better than Devontae Adams because Devontae Adams has a lot more uncertainty than Cooper Kupp. We know who the head coach is going to be. We know where Cooper Kupp is going to play. We know who the quarterback is going to be. We know everything. Whereas Devontae Adams, we know nothing. Devontae Adams isn't under contract. Aaron Rodgers isn't under contract. We don't know anything. So, I do think that I'd rather, once we turn to the offseason, I'm going to rather Chris Godwin, Terry McLaurin, Deontay Johnson, Deebo Samuel, Jalen Waddle, all of those players over Devontae Adams, and he's going to be a good bit lower. I'm just not going to hold on to a 29-year-old wide receiver in the offseason at a early second-round startup value. He's going to be a lot lower. Yeah. Anyone else that we missed in terms of Dynasty risers, and then we can get to fallers?
I don't
think so. I don't think there were any other huge risers. I mean, a lot of the players we mentioned were already really high in the rankings. Amon-Ra St. Brown, maybe?
Yeah. What a touchdown catch in that game.
Yeah, well, I think people noticed when it was the game-winning catch.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, if we want to say James Conner that he has a role in the future, like I don't know.
I just don't know that today really one catch is really that was really the only impressive thing about his day was that one catch. I mean, I love it, but I don't think that today was the make or break game that made that for him. I already had it priced that way beforehand.
Can we move Justin Jefferson to wide receiver 0?
Yeah, I think he deserves it.
What a day.
I'm feeling it. Justin Jefferson is back to being the Dynasty wide receiver 1.
I mean, I feel like the next couple of years, him and Chase are just going to flip-flop this spots.
A little. But to me, Justin Jefferson is the 1 again.
I fully agree.
At least the way I have it.
Chase has been struggling with the drops a little bit recently.
Oh, that's a good one. Okay, so if Adam Thielen is going to miss significant time, then KJ Osborne. KJ Osborne caught a very nice touchdown today, and he finally got a little bit more production, 4 for 47 and 1. But if Adam Thielen is out, then KJ Osborne is a serious addition.
Yeah.
So he would be someone I would keep an eye on. And Tyler Conklin too. Because if Adam Thielen is out, Tyler Conklin also produced more today, 7 for 56 with Thielen out. So both of them, if Thielen is good, we know it's a sprained ankle, but what does that mean? Sprained ankle could, we've seen everything from 7 weeks missed to no missed time. So we don't know anything about what that's going to be. So those Vikings players. And then of the other injuries, Kenyon Drake broke his ankle, so he's out for the year. But nobody really rises on that. Jacobs a little bit, but Jacobs is still not going to be a workhorse. They're going to put Jalen Richard in the receiving role and give Peyton Barber the Kenyon Drake's carries. So basically they're just going to take Kenyon Drake's role and split it among Peyton Barber and Jalen Richard. So not really a riser there. And then Logan Thomas's injury. Ricky Seals-Jones also missed today's game. John Bates is interesting. Just remember that name, Washington rookie tight end. Keep it in mind, but not a huge riser. And we'll get to the followers tech. Expectations for Zeke with 10 days off. What do you think? Do you think that 10 days off will be enough to change everything?
I don't think 10 days is going to be enough. I mean, I forget what carry it was specifically in the Saints game because I don't remember it.
They were all so bad.
Well, the one where it was like a hobble to the sideline on the carry or something like that.
They were all bad.
I don't think 10 days is going to fix that. Well, that's the one that stood out to me, that one carry. I don't think Tony Pollard looked good. Why is this team forcing it? Yeah.
Well, next week you can only play Ezekiel Elliott or Tony Pollard. Who you play?
You have to take Tony Pollard, and Banky, has an explosive play, which he has had these past
because
weeks.
The volume's not there.
Yeah. You just can't do it. It's so tough. I don't think 10 days is going to fix this. Like I said,
no. You have to downgrade both players at this point. Both of them are now. I think we're kind of in Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon's territory from the beginning of the year, where they were both kind of between RB20 and RB24. I think that's what we have now.
I totally agree with you because you're not going to want to start either of them, but you're probably gonna have to start Zeke in most situations.
But it's kind of like how you didn't really want to start Javonte Williams or Melvin Gordon at the start of the year, but you could start both of them. We'll see. Biggest dynasty fallers. Okay. Well, let's talk about that. So, who would you say was a big faller from today? Anybody?
I mean, there's a certain rookie that I had in my lineup that I think is going to fall a little bit in dynasty rankings. I think Rashad Bateman with only one target. I mean,
yeah, that won't do. That's not going to cut it for me. Why do you only have one target?
I have no idea.
He's overrated. Jeez. Because he's overrated. People always think I hate Rashad Bateman, that I have some vendetta against Rashad Bateman. I really don't have a vendetta. I just think he's overrated. People expected the world from Rashad Bateman, and he's not delivering it, and now they're getting cranky. when he wasn't all that good. He's fine. But people told me he was the best prospect of all time, and not the best prospect of all time, but they were like, oh, he's an excellent prospect, one of the best we've had in years. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't agree. I don't agree. I don't see that. I don't see that. Numbers don't say that. Draft capital certainly doesn't say that. 25th pick overall in the first round doesn't say best prospect ever, or one of the best. One of the best should be picked earlier. So none of those things said great to me. And, start of the year injured, that's always a bad start, and then comes in and it's just okay. Just okay. He's been just okay the whole time. It doesn't say great to me. I would be selling. I just don't want him.
I think you need to wait for another opportunity after a 0-point game.
No, I clearly don't, because there are so many people who are they want Rashad Bateman on their team so badly.
Okay. So I'm one of the people that it wasn't as far as he's one of the greatest prospects. I had him at wide receiver 2 coming into the draft. Obviously, I couldn't put him above Chase because I most
certainly did not. If that is not obvious.
Yeah, I like the profile. It doesn't matter the pros. I know we had this talk. I liked the film that I watched. He was a good route runner. I thought he got the draft capital I wanted in the first round. He just didn't get the landing spot, and I'm readjusting.
Yeah, I mean, I had him at 5 going into the draft, so I was not as impressed.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a miss, but
I mean, what do I know about college football rookies anyway? No one could ever. It's funny. No one ever really I've never really understood. No one's ever really come up with, other than some fancy numbers that I don't believe in, why, which is probably what people are going to tell me, oh, he has all these fancy numbers in his favor. I'm like, those numbers are overrated. Why he was this all-star prospect. He certainly didn't measure in like an all-star prospect.
I remember that. He came in, what was it, an inch or 2 under the height, or was he under?
And his weight was underweight. Way under. Wasn't he way under what he was supposed to weigh also?
I believe he came under the 2 things. Was it? I don't know the exact measurements. But
Not that I care about that. I was just surprised that he didn't come in at the weight we thought.
Those combine measurements caused a big fuss on the Twitterverse for a good couple of days.
I
remember that.
There's always a lot of fusses, and I never really pay much attention. But yeah, 0 receptions on 1 target is not good. I'd like to move on from Rashad Bateman and just. You think I can get? Do you think I can get Hollywood Brown? Is that possible?
I mean, from a Bateman, someone who believes in Bateman, I wouldn't doubt it.
I think I could.
I think I could.
Even after today, I think I could.
I agree. I don't think people have jumped off the wagon quite like I have now.
They have.
But I was about to send that in the group chat today. I was about to say I think I'm done with Rashad Bateman in Dynasty because I don't see it happening. Like the way that offense is run, I don't see Greg Roman ever leaving soon. I don't think they're winning enough. Lamar's been good.
Yeah, that's the problem, that they're stuck with Lamar Jackson. Not that that's a bad thing for their real life, but it's not like the Broncos, who could have a completely new quarterback. They will. We just don't know who it's going to be. But could be someone good. But or even the Eagles, it's like Lamar Jackson's going to be a quarterback for the next 5 years unless he suffers a devastating injury, and we don't plan for devastating injuries. So Rashad Bateman is going to play his entire rookie contract in this offense. And I'm sorry, that's far enough out. I mean, how far do you want me to project? So I can project him for being in this situation for as long as I care about. And that's a long time. So I have a problem with him then. So I've always said, transcendent players, excellent players, can overcome a bad situation. DeAndre Hopkins, A.J. Brown at the start of his career. These are players who started their career in horrible situations and overcame it. Rashad Bateman isn't that. He never will be. And I just never understood why people thought that. So I would move on from him. Okay. Do you anticipate James Robinson's role reducing due to his injuries from here on out, potentially shutting down. I mean, I said not to play James Robinson today. I'm glad I did. And I put that tweet out because that may have saved a significant number of people from playing James Robinson. And my most suggested pivot was to go to Sony Michel instead, even with Darrell Henderson out. So I think may have, I do know happened from personal experience, that saved a few people. They would have won. They won with Michel and would have lost with Robinson. So I think I might have even had one of those. But anyway, I am worried. I am. Because what's the incentive to push him? He's your starter next year. I mean, why push him through injuries in meaningless games?
Should just keep touting Carlos Hyde out there.
Yeah, this is always a worry, though. Like with really bad teams, the fantasy playoffs goes up until the second to last week. You can get players shut down. Teams don't tend to do it, but if someone's hurt, I could see it.
I mean,
generally, you have to be pretty hurt, though. You don't just shut down in the NFL. That's just not how things are done. But it's something to be concerned about for sure. It's not someone I'd be targeting if I were a contender, really. I can't trust him. So
hasn't he had a fumbling issue in the past weeks as well? And he's been getting benched for that.
There was a fumbling issue, but then there was another fumble today. But Carlos Hyde also fumbled. He also lost the fumble. So
yeah.
There's multiple fumbles. So goes both ways there.
Yeah, I'm worried about James Robinson.
Let's talk about the Jaguars. So, their wide receiver one did very well today. He had 4 receptions for 62 yards.
I know who it is this time.
Yeah, unfortunately, it was Laquan Treadwell.
Not bad. Good for him, honestly.
Yeah, you think so would you add Laquan Treadwell in Dynasty?
I mean, I think he's worth an end of the bench ad. I mean, like, honestly, like, what are Dynasty waivers looking like nowadays? They're not good.
Yeah, I mean, you can add him if you want, but I mean, it took injuries to, it took an injury to Chark, Agnew, and Dan Arnold to really fully unlock Treadwell. Laviska Shenault, though, you can take and punt off a building. There's just no point. He's a big faller, I guess.
Yeah, that would work for Dynasty.
We never really got to that, did we?
We talked about Bateman.
Yeah, but what about Laviska Shenault?
I totally agree.
Oh, yeah, he's just...
I don't know if he's biggest faller because he's already been down so far.
But he's got to go down more now that even Agnew and Arnold out is not enough. Speaking of big fallers... Yeah. It just won't cut it. 4 targets when Alberto also has 4. That just won't cut it. Right?
Alberto's a good player.
I know, but it's just not good enough. Cortland Sutton. He's already so low for me, though.
The hope with Cortland Sutton is that he was going to get out and get a new quarterback and a new team and, rejuvenate him. The contract's been signed. It's not happening.
Yeah.
There wasn't many.
Fallers, though.
I mean, like I said, I think Bateman's the big one, but I don't think I see anyone.
Kenny Golladay. You can just get rid of the idea that Kenny Golladay is going to hold dynasty value. Just forget that. Injured again. Not productive again. That's enough of him for me.
I mean,
He's someone.
I don't think he's going to fall that far for me, but Rondell Moore didn't have a good day.
Another bad day. Yeah, he's someone, I guess. Could fall a little bit.
I think Rondell Moore, the expectation was next year, but it's tough when he's not beating out AJ Green and Christian Kirk and players like that.
It is tough. I mean, there weren't really that many players that had really a terrible game. today that you were like expecting to do well? The injured guys, of course. I mean, Logan Thomas, an injured the ACL and MCL tear for a 30-year-old player already is devastating. Also, Josh Palmer. I don't think Josh Palmer is it.
But
Not
back up to risers. What about Jalen Guyton? Maybe. No, don't want to throw him in there. With I think
no. More than I don't think Jalen Guyton is their future either. I think they're going to just get a whole other player. So Josh Palmer just doesn't seem like he's it to me. And I also believe that there's another player that I am not impressed with. De'Ami Brown. Not good enough. Not good enough.
It's unfortunate. I know a lot of people were, including myself, were touting him in the offseason. He got the draft capitals, The landing spot wasn't too bad at the time because he had a clear path to the wide receiver too, and it just never materialized.
And then also from that same game, like in the stash range, Jarrett Patterson, clearly not it. If McKissick was out and Patterson still got no work, that's the end of that. But yeah, that range in Dynasty always gets messy during the offseason. It's kind of like it gets really messy really fast.
Until a new draft class comes in and
it clears out a lot of those guys. But yeah, right at the start of the season, there's like 300 players you care about. But before you put in the new rookies at the start of the offseason, there's maybe like 200, 225 at most. So, after that, it gets really, really messy and murky. Yeah. Congratulations on your 70-point victory.
70 points.
Okay. What kind of production do you think we can expect from Javonte for the rest of the season? So, I assume that we think that Melvin Gordon's going to come back. He seemed to be in contention to play this week.
Yeah,
right?
50-50.
Yeah, it didn't seem like he was that far away from playing. So what if he plays, let's say he plays next week. What do you think the workload split is between Javonte and Melvin Gordon?
I mean, I don't know how, as a coaching staff, you watch this game and say it can't be less than 60-40 Javonte's way, but I feel like Vic Fangio is going to find a way to 50-50,
I know.
Down the middle.
I really think it's Javonte's production in the passing game more than anything.
Yeah, he had 6 catches tonight?
6 for 76 and 1, yeah.
Walked right into that touchdown as well.
Yeah. I do think that Javonte Williams is going to be a solid, usable running back the rest of the season. Now, as for how good, you think he's going to be RB1 if Melvin Gordon's still playing? Probably not, right?
No. Can't
I think he's more, I was ranking him as a mid to low end RB2. I think he's more of a high end RB2 now. I do think the split in ranking will be significant. But I don't think Melvin Gordon's going to fade into oblivion.
No. Vic Fangio could never.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be like, there are a couple of split backfields that we deal with on a weekly basis.
Yeah, but you're happy to deal with this one because lo and behold, if
it'll be frustrating, but
yeah,
at least it's only a 2-back system. The third backs never get on the field. But the way I would think about it would kind of be, honestly, a good comparable is actually kind of if Tony Pollard were the lead back in Dallas.
I could see
that's Javonte Williams. And if Ezekiel Elliott were the backup, that's Melvin Gordon. Think of it how you would rank them if it were that way.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind. Probabilities that Damian Harris scores 40 tomorrow, 0.
I'll give you 0.1 just because.
0. Thoughts on Tennessee running backs coming off the byes against Jacksonville? Okay. So they cut Adrian Peterson, who scored today for Seattle, of course. So they're left with the trio of Hilliard, Foreman, and McNichols. So at this point, we don't know if McNichols, where he is in this concussion situation. But if he's out, can you play Foreman and Hilliard?
I believe you could. I mean,
against Jacksonville, you probably prefer Foreman, right?
Yeah, but Hilliard looked impressive against New England 2 weeks ago, a week ago.
Yeah, I do think against Jacksonville, you can play Foreman no matter what. If McNichols returns, I'm going to probably avoid McNichols and Hilliard because I have no idea if they've had McNichols on the team for a long time. So I don't know if, because with a concussion, it's not a knee injury, it's not an ankle injury. When you're good, you're good. So the only thing is the practice time he missed and the game time he missed. Did Hilliard surpass him? I think Hilliard earned a roster spot, but I don't know if he surpassed McNichols on the depth chart. So if McNichols is back in, you can't play him or Hilliard. But you can play Foreman against Jacksonville because Foreman is the early downs guy, and they should be playing with a lead. So you can play Foreman against Jacksonville as some sort of low-end RB2 to high-end RB3, depending on how the weekly rankings shake out. You can play him. The other ones I won't play. I'm not looking to target running backs in the passing game.
I totally agree with you. I mean, Tennessee's passing game is not ideal right now.
Yeah, but you will want to get probably Foreman in there. Well, it depends on the situation. It will help if McNichols is out. Because if McNichols is in, that complicates everything. Because with three backs, it's always hard to choose. Like you have the thing with Boston Scott today. You thought Boston Scott was the RB2, but he wasn't. It was Kenneth Gainwell, and we had no way to know. So whenever there's three relevant running backs, your odds of being wrong, very wrong, increase.
That's why Denver's, nice.
Yeah, because at least you know it's only two.
You know what's coming.
If it's only two, you can't be that wrong. Like with Buffalo, if Zach Moss is active again, then just forget it. Can't play any of them. Who's the top tight end going to play? It's Kelsey. Still Kelsey. Yes, I know Kittle had a huge game today. It's still Kelsey.
200% agree. I mean, Kittle's too, but
yeah, I mean, in Dynasty at this point, just given the statistics this year, Pitts is still the tight end 1 in Dynasty. Your tight end 2 is
probably Kittle.
I had it as Andrews.
I still have Kittle there.
I mean, Andrews was the tight end 2 this year, by far. And he still is. So I just figured that since he's the tight end 2 this year, he's younger than Kittle, he's more reliable than Hawk. I thought it was pretty clear that Andrews is the 2. I don't know if 1 week is enough to change my mind.
I just think this is not, the normal for Kittle, but it's just I'm glad to see him back with the targets.
No, I like to see it. I mean, yeah, Hawkinson, he did score. Kittle was just so good. I mean, this showed that the ceiling's still there. I had Hawk and Kittle very close. I think that for me in Dynasty, I would still have Andrews at the 2 just because he's been good he's the only one of everyone but Kelsey who's actually been good all year. I think I'd have Kittle at the 3, Hawk at 4, and Kelsey at 5, Waller all the way down at 6. Waller I'm very worried about. Waller cannot stay healthy and hasn't been good all year really since the first 2 weeks. And he's going to turn 30 next year, so he's already 29. So, yeah, he's clearly last of the 6 high-end ones for me. But I think I've seen enough to move Kittle back to 3. Hawkinson just isn't doing enough.
That feels like a tier to me with Kittle, Hawk, and Andrews.
Kelsey sort of too. I mean, if you want to ride him. Yeah,
I agree.
Waller to me is not even in that group. Waller's lower. Waller is someone I don't want. If I want the old guy, I'll just take Kelsey. If I want the young guy, I'll take Hawk. Waller, I have no use for. None. I'll never have Waller on another team again. There's just no use for him. He serves no purpose for me. I would never pick him.
Yeah, it's tough, especially with the premium capital.
Yeah, it's done.
Waller was the easy second off the board, I believe, if I remember correctly, in most drafts.
Depends.
They were close.
Really, they were all close. Pitts was up close too. In Dynasty. In redraft, it was Kelsey was the one, and then Waller and Kittle were in contention.
It was like the 2-3 turn round 3 on ESPN.
Okay. Do we think they shut down Swift rest of season? Will this hurt his value? Do I think they shut down Swift rest of season? No. Do I think it would hurt his value? Not really. No. Not really. Not his dynasty value. No.
I think he's locked in at 2 right now. I don't think he can move
enough that I don't know. I mean, it's tough. I'd like to see some improvement in the offense, but yeah, he's probably the 2 for me. Najee it's a volume. It's empty volume. So no, I don't think Swift is gonna lose value.
I agree with you.
From Perry, how do you view Jefferson in the Rams offense? Van Jefferson. Well, I've always liked, I don't want to say always because that's very untrue. I've liked Van Jefferson from week 1 or 2 this year. I've liked the role that he played. I still prefer Van over OBJ like I did this week, and going forward, I preferred Van and start sit this week. I prefer Van rest of season. Obviously, I prefer Van in Dynasty, all of those things. I like him. I'm not sure we can rely on Robert Woods ever returning to his full strength after an ACL tear at this point. So
exactly.
And we want pieces of this offense. The Rams offense was good again today.
I mean, against Jacksonville, it wasn't really a surprise. You kind of expected it.
It wasn't a surprise, but it's good when in the games, Josh Allen wasn't good against Jacksonville. It's good when in the games you're supposed to do well, that you actually come out and do well. Sometimes we say that we give that as a given, but it's not a given. It's the NFL. Anything can happen. So it's nice to see.
Give it as a given. But remember we were dinging people for them?
Yeah.
We were dinging JT and Montgomery last year. I remember.
Who was? Well, me.
No, not either of us. There was people on the timeline. There's people that do that.
Yeah.
None of us do that.
Well, I got it right. I only blame Montgomery for that and not JT. So I got it. I use this
reasoning.
Well, no, it's another thing. This is another thing actually that I've learned. People always want reasons and arguments. I didn't really have a good reason why. I could have explained it, but it would have taken a long time. But I was like, start Sony Michel, ignore Darrell Henderson. I saw people saying, we have no idea what will happen with Sony Michel and Darrell Henderson. No. I have very much of an idea. I know exactly what's going to happen. This happens all the time. When a player is ruled out, but then their backup, in this case, I believe Buddy Howell, is put on IR, and then they have the backup healthy as an emergency. This happens all the time. And I just know it's almost like I don't want to say it's a gut feeling because I just kind of explained it, but like I know from my experience that that's the right move. Like I have a little voice in my head that's telling me and getting me to the right conclusion to play Sony Michel. It's the same voice that's telling me that it's fine that JT did it that way, but not Montgomery. It's one of those things where you just kind of, the actual argument doesn't work, but I know what the right answer is. And I always trust my gut. I make decisions based on my gut. I made the Michelle decision and the Robinson decision today based on my gut, based on the feeling of how hurt the relevant players were. And, in this case, I was right. I'm not always right, but I'd rather just trust my instincts of doing this for years rather than feel that I need to force it into like a cogent or a coherent argument. I'd rather be right. And the reason was that was my gut than be wrong because I tried to force a logical way of thinking onto you. If that makes sense. I'd rather give you the right information, even if my argument isn't great, rather than give you the wrong information because I wanted it to make more sense. Because I want you guys to win. more than I want you guys to be proud of my debating or argumentative skills. I don't care about that. I'm not good at those things anyway. I think we all know that. I refuse to do it on Twitter, and it's not something I particularly enjoy. I would not have done very well in Model UN or debate club or whatever. I don't know if you did any. Do you do any of this stuff in high school or college or anything?
I only did academic team, which that was like the buzzer thing.
Academic team, is that the thing with the buzzer?
The
like
buzzers, yeah.
Girls?
Yeah.
That's the thing where you hit the buzzer and answer the questions?
That's exactly what that is.
Oh my God. You're more nerdy than me. I did not do academic team.
I'll admit it. But yeah, wasn't there an if needed tweet about Darrell Henderson before the game? They're like, if needed. He was I swear. Yeah.
But there was a whole lot of things. But yes, Van Jefferson. I like him. I don't know what that whole conversation had to do with anything, but I get distracted.
I mean, Robert Woods' injury outlook doesn't, bode well, like you said, for his age. Odell's contract, he might look to go somewhere else for more money next year. Van Jefferson's under contract with Cooper Kupp. The team's a salary cap mess, so I'm in on Van Jefferson.
Yeah, I don't see any reason not to be, really. Tutu Atwell is a bust. We know that.
Yeah. The Rams are just better trading their picks. We all knew that.
Yeah. And yes, obviously. Of course, Javonte's the lead back rest of season. We know that.
Yeah, he should be. But also, if Vic Fangio says, hey, Melvin Gordon, here's your exact rollback, it wouldn't surprise me at all for some reason. I don't know. It shouldn't, but
that had better not happen, but it could.
It definitely could. I'm not saying it should, but we can't underestimate
Ooh. Whoa. One of the people who told me I was having recency bias for liking Noah Fant is starting to change his tune. Or recency bias for being against Noah Fant. He was like, I didn't like him. I wanted Pat Freiermuth over him, and I had recency bias. Maybe not so. Not so. The tune is changing. I love to see it. I love to see it because I never victory lap. I might on here, but I don't victory lap on Twitter. But that also means it goes both ways. If you victory lap, then you have to be ready to every time you're wrong. Whereas I don't ever look back really. I do it myself, but I don't go through on Twitter. I'll write an article about it. But I don't like to I think we talked about this. I don't like to do that in real time. I like to do that process alone and present the conclusions later, like I would do on the show. If I did something wrong, I would just lay out what happened, and then I'd like to do it here where I could just talk and then it's there and people can you say what you may, but I give you the whole story and then judge it at the end. I do it in articles too, like looking back at mistakes I made in past articles, judge it at the end. I don't really like to do the back and forth on Twitter. It's not my thing, but there are people who do enjoy that. And I see some Fant panic on the timeline, which I love it. I hate Noah Fant. He's one of my least favorite players. So I don't want to see any player do poorly, but I dislike him. He reminds me of Evan Ingram, who, as we know, I'm a Giants fan. Evan Ingram is like the bane of my existence.
Yeah, it's rough. I mean, I'm with you on Noah Fant. Where are the targets going to come?
Clearly, I clearly don't have a pro Giants bias. I mean, I feel like I'm the hardest on Barkley, Golladay, and Ingram.
Look, I'm an Eagles fan, and I'm taking it. Well, that's the whole Penn State thing. Never mind.
Yeah. But I definitely can't be accused of having a pro Giants bias because I don't think I have nice things to say about anyone on the Giants.
I don't think you have this whole season. I mean, maybe
Kadarius Toney. Kadarius Toney. I was in on Kadarius Toney from the start because of draft capital, and people dismissed the first round pick, which obviously I'm never going to do because I'm a draft capital snob. So I was in on him from the start. Then I was mad at him because he was misbehaving during training camp. And he had his foot issue. There were a lot of issues. And then I liked him again, and now he's missing time, so now I don't like him. but he's going to be someone interesting to value this offseason because he like came in, he was really good and then didn't play. So how do you value someone like that?
Especially with, maybe they're going to get a new coach, or I don't know if they're going to get a new coach. They should.
They're going to get a new general manager. I think they're going to get a new coach, and they may or may not get a new quarterback.
Exactly. So a lot of moving variables for Tony.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. So okay, we answered all of the advanced questions. I'm not going to go to Twitter to pull more. We answered all the questions in the chat. I do think this week was relatively, for Dynasty, for example, at this point in redraft, it is what it is. You're past your trade deadlines. Just keep grinding your waiver wire. I don't think anything major was opened up by injuries this week. Kenny Drake injury doesn't open anything. The Logan Thomas injury doesn't. And I don't think there were any other big running backs who got hurt due to a running back injury. So I don't think there's going to be any big waiver claims. Trade deadline's passed. So, really just keep setting your lineups, keep keeping with it. Grind waivers when you can if anyone drops anyone. But for redraft, the cards are kind of dealt at this point. And then for Dynasty at this point, I'm mostly talking about now looking forward to the offseason. You can buy players on contenders if your trade deadline is still open, or preferably if you play in a league with no trade deadline, which is what I like.
Those are better. I mean,
I think so. I used to feel that having a trade deadline the day before the playoffs started was good, and that I would be okay with that. Those are the two formats I like: trade deadline right before the playoffs, or trade deadline, no trade deadline at all. But I've honestly felt like having trades in the playoffs is fine.
I thought I liked it like that, but now I'm going into week 2 of the playoffs because we didn't get to change the format around, and I don't have a second quarterback in a super flex format because of bye weeks. So
yeah.
So I think trading should be open. I'm going to post a Twitter post about it or something.
You can post it. Yeah, I like it. I mean, I played in Trade Addicts 8 last year and I won, and I made trades during the playoffs. And it was, I traded for Jeff Wilson, who I didn't need because I won by, I think I set a Trade Addict scoring record in the championship. It was it's a good time to have a good week. Against Matt Price too, of all people. Yeah, that was before we were both. That was before I was at DLF. I was able to trade for Jeff Wilson, and I just traded Jeff Wilson away a couple of weeks ago. I actually got more for him in return than I traded for him at the time somehow. Always working.
I always got to work. I have to squeeze in any concerns about Joe Burrow's finger. I don't know if you saw the picture.
I did see it. He says he's going to play through it, but I'm probably going to downgrade him for start sit, at the very least.
Yeah, that was the one big injury that might have impact on the upcoming playoffs, like significantly.
Yeah, I have some concerns, but what do you do?
I mean, you just gotta roll through it. I mean, maybe move him down a couple spots, like you said, but you can't move him down too
next
far.
Week is the 49ers. The week after that is the Broncos. Then it's the Ravens and the Chiefs. The Ravens don't really scare me, and neither do the Chiefs. But
it stinks. Marlon Humphrey got a season-ending shoulder injury today. So.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, Burrow's injury does suck. I don't like it, but it is what it is.
Suboptimal. Well, hopefully it gets better because he was handing off some backwards weird way during the game late today.
I think it's going to be the kind of thing where I'll probably still consider playing him, but I don't think he's going to be a quarterback one with that injury. I think it's just too risky. The odds of turnovers are so high. So I'm probably going to downgrade him, but it's going to be hard to bench him. But yeah, no, I think this was good, recap wise. So yeah, tell the people where they can find you, and then I'm actually going to plug my own things for a change.
There we go. Love to hear that, but you can find me, always use the wrong hand, at @RyanPros_FF. It's late at night. Sorry. And you can find my work at the Dynasty Vipers and the Fantasy Newsroom, articles and videos. And you could always find me right here. I'm usually here.
True. Yeah. We're planning what we're going to do in the off season too. So,
Yep.
but this show will continue. Well, I don't know exactly when we're going to do it, but we're going to plan something.
Hopefully not at Sunday night at 1 a.m.
No, I don't. I think that the time we record on Thursday is going to be closer to our actual recording time. I don't think we're going to be recording at this time.
Yeah.
I don't think this.
I'll be excited to hear people's Dynasty questions because the trades are going to be flying.
Yeah. No, we'll probably do a version of the Thursday show. And, well, we'll probably do a show at that time, around that time, with more of the topic like this show, like a weekly recap of like the Dynasty world. Anyway, for me, I have the Sunday 6-pack that comes out for DLF every week, which you can always read. It's like a watching guide. Then I have the Monday Hangover article that comes out Monday morning, which kind of goes back on it and goes over what happened on the storylines. Then I have my Patreon, which is there. So feel free to hit that up if you.
Up to that. Lots of use.
Yeah, if you would like. And then I have not talked about this as much, and that's because I've been very much busy and kind of a little overwhelmed, and it was a bad time to sign this contract. But it is for a year, so you'll have plenty of opportunity. And what I'm talking about is I did sign a partnership with Underdog. If you sign up for Underdog, I just put my referral code in the chat. It's code Tyler K, which makes sense. So there it is. And if you sign up, and I believe you can make up to a $100 deposit that they will match if you sign up with that code. And then once you play through it, they give me a certain percentage of that. But if you sign up for that, you can get free money to play on Underdog. And I just want to thank Andrew Mackins for reaching out to me and letting me join up there. And they've also let me put some of the stuff in their Discord, and they're in theory sending me merch. And when they do, I will probably show it off on here. And yeah, I just want to thank them for signing that with me. And I promise that we will hear more about that during the off season. I definitely am not a DFS expert, but I do know more about like off-season best ball than I do about
best ball fires up.
Yeah, I don't do like a lot of props or DFS during the season. Similar to college football, it's another thing I just don't have time for. But during the off season, I have more time, so I'm going to try to get in there and play some more of those like best ball, draft style contests. See if I can do anything like that. Even if I don't, I'll still promote it. And they're doing great work there, and I just really appreciate that they were willing to have me. So, So there's your referral code. I have a link, but it's bulky. I think it's just easier to have the code, but I can find the link, and I will promote that more during the off season. I just haven't. Honestly, I have so many threads that I try to do in season. I've just been buried under those. I haven't had time to like promote stuff, but I do have the referral code, and it is in my Twitter bio if you ever forget it. And my Twitter is right there. Right there?
I know, right? That the hand thing's hard, right?
There. It's right there. So you can find it there as well. I think that is everything. Ask DLF is every Tuesday at now 9 p.m. Eastern, the DLF YouTube. And, there's no more Sunday morning show, but we will be back Thursday at 6 Eastern doing our little Thursday start sit and other things. We talk about a lot of other stuff on that show. And, so thank everyone for watching, listening to the recap. If you like this channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button that tells YouTube that you like it, and it'll push us up in the algorithm, which really helps me. And also thanks to everyone who's subscribed to the channel. It's actually been pretty good, really good support, considering I just launched it on a whim the week before the season. So I appreciate everyone in the audience who has helped me with that. And I think that's everything. So
enjoy the game tomorrow. Heck of a game.
Yeah, I know. We'll see if the weather allows for any entertainment.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I will see you all later.
Peace.
Hope you won your games.
Yeah.
Peace.